All right, let's get going. Good evening, everyone. This is Tyler from Stockscores. Tonight's presentation, the Stockscores Mentorship Program. I'm going to give you a little overview of this new thing that I'll be offering, new educational program that I'm going to be offering starting in November. It's a 4-month mentorship, essentially. And so tonight we're going to talk about what that means. What is the mentorship program? I'll go over some of the topics that I'll be covering during that 4 months, talk about why the mentorship even began or why I do it, and why it's something worth considering for you to do, the benefits of it, and talk a little bit about the costs and the inclusions in the course. All right, so what is the mentorship program? Well, it's primarily focused on the active trader course, theories and strategies. Now I say primarily focused on that because those are the strategies that I'll spend most of my time looking at. However, we also look at all the theory on how to read charts, do risk management, exits, and so all of those things are useful no matter what style of trading you do. But I think that active trading is the area where there is more expertise and practice and skill required to do it, simply because you have to do it so much quicker. When you are picking a position trade, you can do your scans in the evenings and the weekends and take a long time to think about it. When you're day trading, you have to do things very quickly, and the tools required are more complex. The thought process is quicker. I don't think intellectually it's any more difficult, but it takes more practice and more skill. And so I think that is where having me coach you through the learning process can have a real advantage. So the idea here is that on top of the material that is online for the active trader course, the videos, the lessons, that sort of thing, I also do 4 months of weekly meetings. Now, I've been teaching people via the mentorship method for a few years, and I have found that when I do that one-on-one with people, I have really seen where people maybe misunderstand what I meant when I was describing a rule and a strategy, or overlooking key things, or just not having the base knowledge to really understand how to apply this stuff that is in the course material. And, by doing these mentorship meetings, I've come to realize that there's certain things I have to strengthen, and I've done that with the different iterations of the educational material. But I think particularly with day and swing trading, there is enough complexity that people would really benefit from being able to sit with me and watch me do this and have me explain it and walk them through the process of how to set up TradeStation, or how to use the different tools in the market scan and combine them, and some of the little tricks that maybe get lost in the detail. And so that's where the mentorship comes in. I chose 4 months of weekly meetings because I find that's about how long it takes for people to bring in all the information. And I only do a meeting every week because I think that there is some time required to practice what I teach. So if I do a meeting and then in that meeting we go over, let's say, setting up a certain element of radar screen in TradeStation, I'll then give my student an exercise to do for that week. And that way they take in that concept, really understand it, and then we can go on to the next one. And so it's one of the useful things is that through the time that we have to do the mentorship, there is much more time to let concepts sink in before you move on to the next concept. And I think that is an easier way to learn, to break things down into key components, learn them individually, and then start to combine them over time. Now, in addition to the 4 months of weekly meetings, toward the end of the 4 months, I will do a one-on-one coaching session with each student. And the idea there is to really get specific to that person's situation and say, okay, what kind of time do you have to actively trade? When is it? That sort of thing. So if someone says to me, well, I can trade for the first 2 hours of the day, I can maybe check the market a little bit during the day, then I can sort of push them into the type of strategies and approach and processes that will work best for them. And I can't really do that in a group setting. I have to do that one-on-one. So toward the end of the 4 months, we'll schedule meetings with each student who registers for the mentorship program, and I'll do it typically will take an hour, maybe a little more, with that person one-on-one to just really fine-tune the training for them. It's intended to be a very comprehensive course to enable you to day and swing trade the market with my strategies. That's the final goal, is to have you do what I do as a day and a swing trader. Yes, I know not everyone wants to day and swing trade, and for them I wouldn't say that the mentorship maybe is the best thing. We will have skills that you learn that are useful for position trading, longer term investing, and so for someone who's day trading but also wants to manage their portfolio, I guarantee you will get some tricks and some methods out of this that can be used in that longer term style of trading. But the emphasis really is on active trading. I'm going to go into the fine detail and help you overcome the obstacles that come with learning this. And I've taught people now for 16 years. I've been doing the mentorship training for probably 3 years, I'm guessing, and done a lot of one-on-one mentorship. And what I found through that process is that everyone has the same questions. Everyone has the same hurdles that they find difficult. And by doing it for the last number of years, I really understand what people need to learn. And I decided that it wasn't really essential to do it one-on-one with people because it's not very efficient, because everyone has the same questions. And I think by doing it with a small group of people in weekly meetings, online, just like we're doing now, but where you can ask me questions, I'll answer them, people benefit from hearing other people's questions and the answer, because like I said, most people have the same questions. And so it's a small class. I don't do a big group, so we won't have a ton of questions. And we're just going to take the time to go through these topics week by week. So what are the topics? Well, we'll talk a lot about the different tools that we use, both on Stockscores and TradeStation. TradeStation isn't for everyone. Some people like to use other software programs. The problem I have with using other programs is that my indicators that I've written for things like action candles, abnormal activity, different trade counting threshold things, and my wave signals, inflection points, I've programmed all of these indicators into TradeStation, or had people program them for me. And they work in TradeStation. They don't work in other programs. So I do have students that will use things like TC2000, NinjaTrader, some of the other platforms that are out there, and they can make it work. And I've had, some students who put in a lot of time and effort to make these other platforms work, to do what I am doing in TradeStation. At the end of the day, I think TradeStation is the best platform if you plan to, make trading a career, whether it's part-time or full-time. It's kind of like if you opened a restaurant, you got to rent a building. If you wanted to, start any business, you always have that overhead. And your overhead in trading is two things. One, you need capital to buy and sell inventory with, your stocks. And two, you need a tool to analyze the market with. And I recommend that be TradeStation. Now, if you are in the US or many places around the world, you can open a brokerage account with TradeStation. I am in Canada, and Canadians are not allowed to open brokerage accounts with U.S. brokers. And so the result is that we have to subscribe to TradeStation. And so we Canadians end up paying $350 a month to use TradeStation, Canadian. I get a bit of a discount for my students using TradeStation because I bring them a lot of business, and so they give a discount to my students. I don't get paid anything by TradeStation. I don't own anything to do with it. I don't want you to think I'm promoting it for my benefit. It's what I use. I've used it forever, and it's what I recommend other people use for the analytical standpoint, or part of it. You can trade through TradeStation if you have a brokerage account with them. But again, as Canadians, I can't do that. I have to also have a broker in Canada that I actually execute my buy and sell orders, but I do my analysis on TradeStation. All right, so we'll spend quite a bit of time early in the mentorship going over how to set up and use TradeStation, all the little tricks, and it's quite an overwhelming piece of software when you first get it. And the mentorship allows me to walk through the process one step at a time. Here's how we set up our charts. Here's how we do our layouts. Here's how we set up radar screen, importing the indicators. A lot of the things that can take you hours and hours to figure out. I mean, I've done videos on them, but still, I think it's helpful to see me do it. We'll start with a blank page and we'll build it, and then I'll answer any questions that my students have on how to do all that. We'll also, of course, go into the strategy rules and all the details for primarily the intraday pullbacks, superheroes, and simple swing. We'll also touch on strategies that you may not spend a lot of time with. The worm, which is actually not on the website. I don't do it a lot, but we'll talk a little bit about the worm strategy, the wave strategy, which I do sometimes when market conditions warrant. I haven't been doing it a lot lately, but we'll touch on all the rules. They're all very similar in what we look for. The processes are quite similar, but at the same time, there's little differences that you have to understand. And so we'll, go through these strategies detail by detail and take as long as it takes. I always tell people that our weekly meetings are going to be about an hour, but if one week it takes us 2 hours to get through the topic, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk, another topic is the process. Understanding what you're looking for and how to find it is great, but the process is so important, because if you don't find it on time, you miss the trade. And we have to have good process in place to find these trades in a timely fashion. So that is an essential part, and probably the most useful part, I think, of the mentorship is to see the step-by-step process that I go through and how I'm always trying to improve that, the things you can do to try and improve that process. Other topics, we'll talk about reading charts. I'll show you some tricks to get better at reading charts using some things like inflection points and how to see the patterns better and think about things in different time frames. We'll, of course, touch on risk management, not a whole lot different than what's online already, but I can, go into more detail on how you build a position, scaling into a position, things that you can do that's part of, I guess, the art of trading that helps you to better get better profitability without taking on more risk. And so we'll do a little bit of that. Self-improvement, the processes that I do every day, even though I've been trading for 26, 27 years, there are things I do after the close every day to get better, to improve my rules, to adjust my exit rules as market conditions warrant. And it's just, it takes me 15 or 20 minutes after the trading day is done to analyze what I should have done, what I did right, what I did wrong, where my exit rules helped me, where they failed me, and is there a trend where I maybe need to change my exit rules a little bit. So we'll talk about that. Talk about strategy development and testing, how I test a strategy. I'll walk you through the creation of a spreadsheet where you can accumulate data on a daily basis to then test the rules. And even if you have no intention of ever developing your own strategy, you just say, I'm just going to use Tyler's, it's helpful to go through the process of testing a strategy so that you get some faith and confidence in the rules. Because when you look at the rules applied over a large number of trades, it does build your confidence and faith that those rules work. And then what separates you from success is simply following the rules with good discipline and good process. We're going to walk through a process where we build a strategy decision tree, a simple logical progression, so you can say, okay, step one, I'm doing this. Step two, I have a choice. Do this, this. If I do this, this is the next step. If I actually do this, then these are the steps. And so you build this decision tree so that you can take the emotion out of the trading decision and the emotion that comes in the process and the action that happens in the market. Ultimately, we want to approach the market like a computer, because these days it's the computers that are winning in the market. And we don't have to have, multi-million-dollar computer systems with low latency connections to the exchanges, because there is a style of trading that we as individual investors can do with the same mechanics and thought process that the computer developers use. Strategy trading, algorithmic trading, 80% of what I do is algorithmic trading, but then there's a human element that allows me as an individual investor to do well in the market as the computers are doing. And do a little research on this. If you want to look up Renaissance, there's a hedge fund called Renaissance, and Citadel, and gosh, there's a couple more. But the top performing hedge funds over the last 5 years, I would say primarily are algorithmic trading operations, and they've got massive computer systems that are just, at the end of the day, 50% of the trading volume on the New York Stock Exchange is generated by computers. So that's what the pros are doing. And you don't have to be at a disadvantage because you are an individual investor, as long as you approach the market in a similar way. Of course, as we go through the 4 months of weekly meetings, there's going to be questions. We're going to overcome issues that are specific to a person. I'm going to invite each week you to email me questions that I can then cover the following week where I need to visually show you things. Of course, sometimes I can answer your question in the email, but there are times when you say, Tyler, I don't get the process for building the watch list for day trading. Can you go over this because I'm having some trouble with whatever? And I think that that is going to be useful for everyone in the group, and so I will go over that the following week or on a week when it's appropriate for that topic. So, all right, so why the mentorship? Well, what I have found, and I've taught people now for 16 years, and I would say that most people, I would say, easily learn 80% of the material. I used to teach the material in a classroom over 2 days. I think at the end of the 2 days, people had lots of optimism and excitement because they understood what we went through over those 2 days. And then when people watch my videos and read the lessons, it's not complex. It takes some time to learn it, like anything. But when I think about what doctors do and what lawyers do, and what the guy managing a oil and gas plant in northern Alberta, the knowledge and the engineering that goes into some of those things. By comparison, intellectually, trading is easy. However, if you don't understand that little final, what I call the final 20%, you can really not be successful, because although 80% gets you a good understanding, it's the final 20% where the detail comes in that separates success. And it really comes down to avoiding taking the marginal trades, or avoiding taking big losses, or avoiding missing out on the good winners because of emotional reasons or that sort of thing. I've also found that there's some students who have great intentions, who sign up for my courses, who go through all the material, and then life gets busy and they don't put in the practice. And so this procrastination and that lack of motivation, or sometimes lack of time, hurts them because they don't ultimately do what I've taught them. Well, the nice thing about the mentorship program is there's a weekly meeting that you attend. I mean, if you can't attend it, you watch the video, but I'm giving you homework every week. And it's not a lot of time, but it's consistent time. It's every week. Okay, you got to put in an hour for the meeting, and you might have another hour or two of homework. Sometimes it might be 15 minutes a day of homework that, if you want to really excel, I hope you will do. I'm not going to make you send in your assignments. That's up to you to do. But the following week, we're going to go over the homework, and I'm going to invite you to tell me about the stocks that you found during the week so that we can do some analysis to figure out if you applied the rules correctly. So the mentorship will help you overcome that procrastination and lack of motivation, help you overcome misinterpretation of what I meant when I wrote the book or when I did the video, missing out on some of the details that are in the material, but there's hours of video there. What happens if you miss something? By me going through it step by step, you're going to catch every detail. Sometimes people get confused about, the process for one strategy, confusing that with the process for a different strategy. I see that a lot, where they'll mix up rules across strategies, and at the end of the day, they're doing the strategy wrong because they're taking some rules from the simple swing strategy and applying it to the day trading strategy, and it's really not relevant. I think intimidation of looking at the list of videos and all the information that's in those videos can be overwhelming. And by breaking the process and the learning process down into little pieces and doing one piece at a time before we move on to the next piece over the course of 4 months really lowers that intimidation factor and helps you overcome the uncertainty of, what am I doing? Do I have the confidence and the knowledge to actually apply this? And ultimately what I want to do is help you overcome fear, because fear is what makes traders lose money. It's the fear of losing money. It's the fear of missing out. It's the fear of not knowing what you're doing, that lack of confidence. All these fears play a role, and the only way to overcome them is to have good strategy, good understanding of the strategy, good rules, good discipline, those sorts of things, good risk management, so important. And so again, in that 4-month process, I think I can help you overcome those things. So why the mentorship? Helps you build confidence, allows you to be self-sufficient so that eventually you don't need me. But for the first, 4 months, or if you have questions 2 years from now, obviously I'm going to answer them, but I want you ultimately to be self-sufficient. As I said, trading is simple, but it's not easy. Intellectually, simple, but what makes it difficult is that you have to work quickly, you have to really understand the material well so that you can apply the rules correctly. And I think ultimately, even though it's 4 months, I will speed up your learning process because you won't waste time doing the wrong thing because of a misinterpretation. Through that process, I'm going to be answering your specific questions during our live meetings. I'll always invite questions, but after the meeting, you may think of something, you email it to me. I'll either answer you directly, or I might say, you know what, that's a great question that I think I'd like to show at our next meeting. That way other people are going to benefit from it as well. And again, at the end of the process, in the final few weeks, we'll start scheduling one-on-one meetings with each of the students so that I can go into the specific situation that you are in to sort of, channel you into the right style of trading, the right strategy for you, and maybe answer some specific questions that you have on setting up your platform. I can have you share your screen with me so I can see how you set up your platform and give you some tips on making it better, and yeah, that sort of thing. Ultimately, the goal is simple: master the strategies and the processes. So what's the timeline? The registration will open Thursday, and there's a limited number of spots available for this, so I'm going to be sending out an email Thursday morning. Well, morning for me, it might be afternoon or evening where you are, but it'll go out Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'll discuss that in a moment, and that'll be registration opens. The training will start with, I'm going to be trading live all November, so you can watch me trade live through the month of November. That's going to be included in the mentorship fee. I say there November 1st to 16th and then November 21st to December 2nd. There's 2 trading days in there, November 17th and 18th, which is a Thursday and a Friday. I will be in Las Vegas for the Traders Expo, and so I won't be trading those days. I leave Thursday morning early, and so those 2 days we won't have live trading, but we'll go for basically a full 4 weeks because we'll go into December as well. There's going to be an education focus week, November 21st to 24th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I will be trading live, but I'll also be going through the step-by-step processes to build the watch list, analyze charts, that sort of thing. So where normally when I'm doing my live trading, I kind of just call out the trades I'm making, during education week, I'll go into a little more detail. And those 4 sessions will be recorded. I may miss some trades because I'm going a little slower, but you have the benefit of seeing me go through the process on my screen, whereas normally the rest of the month you'll just hear me and see me making the trades. Our first mentorship meeting will be on November 22nd after the market closes, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So that'll be an extra session. We'll go through our first topic. You'll get your first sort of bit of homework to do for the following week, and that one will be right after the market closes. We're going to ultimately do 16 weekly meetings. I think most will be around an hour. Sometimes if there's a lot of questions or issues that we have to go through, it might be 2 hours, but I would count on most being around an hour. That's what I tend to do with my mentorship students. Because I'm going to have more than one student at a time, I'm expecting there'll be a few more questions, so there will be a little more time allocated for that. Some of the weekly meetings will be done during market hours, some just after the market closes, but most of the sessions that we do will be done in the evening. Now again, when I say the evening, I mean the evening my time, which is Pacific time zone. I know that we have people here that are maybe in Europe or Australia. I noticed someone here from Australia, so you'll have to work with some of those times. However, all of our meetings, all of those 60 weekly meetings will be recorded. So if one of those meetings doesn't work with your schedule, then it will be available to watch later. I will probably poll all of the students to get a sense of what times work best, and we'll sort of try to, accommodate everyone in terms of the time that we choose. But I'll tend to do it the time that this webinar is on, 6 o'clock Pacific time, with some sessions right after the market closes, and a couple we'll do during the trading day, simply because I want to show you something live. There will be no meetings from December 15th until January 7th over the holidays. I'm going on a vacation with my family, and I just find it's such a hectic, busy time of year. People don't have time necessarily to do the education. I'm going to give you some assignments to work on over the holidays. If you can work on it, great. Things to more practice in terms of chart reading and that sort of thing. But we're going to take a 3-week break and then continue the 4 months. So you're still going to get 60 weekly meetings. We'll just have a little 3-week break in there. The one-on-one meeting will be scheduled with each student toward the end of the program. And as I said, all of these meetings will be recorded for future viewing. It won't be available to anyone else except the mentorship students. So you'll get a specific link for you, and you'll be able to watch the video as many times as you want. But it's not going to be open to the general public, obviously, or other education students. It's specific for that program. All right, the cost. Cost is 5,495 Canadian. Now, in the past, the mentorship program was 7,495, and that was when it was one-on-one. And what I wanted to do was lower the cost so that more people had access to it, and that's why I'm going to do it in a small group. So the group is limited to 15 students. We'll talk about that in a moment. And that basically makes it more efficient for me. I don't think it's a hindrance to the student because I think a lot of the questions, everyone benefits from them. And, you know, the only juggling act is maybe some of the meetings you won't be able to attend because you've got a scheduling conflict. That's why I'm going to record them. And if you have questions after the fact, you can always ask me. If you have already taken one of my courses, here's the upgrade fee. So if you've done the foundation, to upgrade to the active, or pardon me, to the mentorship, $4,500, from investor, $3,000, from active trader, $2,000. And if you've done the mentorship in the past and you want to do it again, you want more practice, great, it's a $1,000 upgrade fee. Normally, the upgrade is the price difference plus $250. For this first run of the mentorship, I'm waiving the $250 fee. In the future, that will hold, but for this mentorship, because it's brand new and no one ever had the choice before, it's basically just the cost difference. So if you've bought the foundation course already, you know, paid $995, pay $4,500 more, you get the mentorship. The bonus is that you're also going to get that live trading session in November as part of the package. And we're still going to do some other live sessions through the 4 months, but you'll get the whole month of watching me trade live through November outside of those 2 days when I'll be in Las Vegas. All right, registration. How will you register for this? An email will be sent out Thursday at 10 a.m. I'm limiting the mentorship to 15 students, and there's a lot of interest in this. So that's why I've decided to just send out the email to everyone Thursday at 10 a.m. It'll have instructions and a link to register, and you don't have to register immediately. If you want to wait till November 1st, you can, because we're not going to start the actual mentorship until November, 22nd. But then, of course, you might miss out on one of the spots. I don't know how quickly it will fill up. Based on the number of people that are watching this webinar, I would say it's probably going to fill up fairly quickly, but who knows. You will get to watch me trade live from for the first 2 hours of each trading day through November. That's the sort of free bonus. And then one of those weeks we're going to focus a little more on education, but as I've been doing this month in October, I've been trading live, and for the first 2 hours of the day. Some days I go a little longer. Kind of depends on conditions. Conditions haven't been very good in October, and so we've kind of been just doing the first 2 hours. But I'm hoping that it will start to pick up. Typically, we're in the transition phase right now between the worst time of the year to the best time of the year. November tends to start the best trading period of the year from November until May-ish. So I'm optimistic that November will be a good month for trading. All right, so I'm just going to post this poll. And I will, someone's asked me the question, will I be recording the live trading? I will not be recording the live trading. And the reason why is it slows down my computer, and I can't do the processes I need to do quickly enough. Now, for 4 days in the month of November, I will be recording it because the emphasis for those 4 days is on education. And if I miss a few trades because my computer's a bit slower, no big deal. So 4 days out of the month, I will be recording it, but the rest of the days, I will not be recording those sessions for the first 2 hours. So if you can't make it, a certain day, you're going to miss out, unfortunately. But I've tried to record it, and I had some problems with the machine just being too slow. So I've opted not to do that because my primary purpose is to find trades and make money. So I'm putting my own money into this, and that's my number one goal. So, but yes, you'll be able to watch me for the first 2 hours of the trading day, 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 till 8:30 Pacific, and you just basically watch my screen that I have as I talk. Okay, So I'm going to post this poll now, and if you would like to receive the registration email on Thursday, pretty simple poll, just say yes or no. And if you don't say yes, I won't send it to you. I know some of you in the past few webinars I've been asking if you want to receive an email. I'm going to put you on the list for that as well, but it wouldn't hurt to say yes here as well. But I've got a list of a number of people who already want me to send the email, so I'll be sending it to them as well. And if you're watching this presentation as the recording, because I am recording tonight's presentation, let's say you're watching this on Wednesday, I recommend that you send me an email saying, please put me on the list, and I will add you to my email list for Thursday. Because again, Thursday morning at 10, I'm sending out the email, and it's first come, first serve in terms of registering for the mentorship. And in that email, it will have fairly specific instructions. You have to really make sure that you read the email carefully. Every time I get people registering for a course, there's always someone who's kind of rushed through it and hasn't read the instructions. You have to, follow the instructions in the email very specifically by logging into the website first. Then you click on the registration link that adds the purchase charge to your shopping cart, and then you can complete the purchase. And if you don't log in first, you just click on the link first, it won't work. So you have to follow that. All right, so I will take this down in just a moment here. I think everyone's had a chance to answer. So I'll give you another 10 seconds to answer the poll, and then we'll answer a few questions that I'm getting posted here. If I miss your question, you can always email me, and I'll answer it that way. All right, so I'm going to close the poll. Most people have voted. Let me just make sure we're all good. All right. So poll's closed. If by chance you didn't get a chance to answer the poll and you want to get that email, just fire me an email. You don't have to make a long thing. Just say, please put me on the list for the mentorship email on Thursday, and I will add you to it. So here's my contact information. I gotta stop this poll. Why is that still up there? Oh, here we go. So when I send out the email, it will have, why is it doing that? Sorry, guys. Every time I do these polls, it grabs the wrong screen. Okay, so let me try this again. There, now you see the right screen. Okay, so there's my contact information, tylerb@stockscores.com. Someone's asking to just see the price page again, so I'll show you that here. So there's the prices, upgrade, and if you're new. I'm not going to answer questions about trading tonight. I think I just want to answer questions more about the mentorship. If you don't use TradeStation now, do I recommend the mentorship? Yeah, because I have students that take what I teach them, and I've actually had mentorship students that don't use TradeStation. I think, by not using it, you're giving yourself a lot of extra work, because you got to figure out how to do it on something like TC2000 or these other programs that are out there, and they're great tools. The only problem is my indicators don't work with them. But I've got students who have adapted the process to TC2000. They've maybe got a little bit of computer savvy in them, and they can make that happen. So great. By doing the mentorship, you'll know more about what you have to do to get something like TC2000 to work. So I don't think you have to use TradeStation. I just think for the $350 a month, it pays for itself, because you will find more trades quicker, easier, that sort of thing. Is there a minimum amount of capital that I recommend for day trading? I would say the minimum is $10,000. That gives you $30,000 of buying power. You're not going to be able to trade the larger cap stocks. You're going to focus on stocks under $10. So you're going to make fewer trades, but still the lower price stocks tend to move better. It's just that there's not as many of them to trade. So you can still do it. You just have to adapt to that. I recommend everybody start with $0. I don't want you to trade with a penny until you've practiced and have built up a certain amount of success in practice. That's why I built a simulator. Don't start trading with money. I don't care if you have $20 million. Don't start trading with a penny until you've practiced. Why waste money learning? Like, learn in my simulator. Let me see here. Have I ever tried to, I don't, someone's asked me, let me back up. I will sometimes, when I'm making trades, I'll rate them out of 10. I'll say this is a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Someone's asking me if I only did the trades that I think are a 10 out of 10, how's my success? I never give a trade a 10 out of a 10 because that would mean it was risk-free, certain. I just don't see though. Well, I don't think that's do that. So if you have taken the active trader course already, then to upgrade is $2,000. If you have taken the investor course and you want to upgrade to the active trader course, it is $3,000. So what do you see on screen right now? Those are the upgrade fees. If you have taken no course from me, it's $5,495 Canadian dollars. For our American friends on here tonight, that's, you know, quite a bit less because the Canadian dollar is quite a bit weaker than the US dollar right now. You still have to, you know, if you want to use Stockscores, you still have to pay your $300 a year to keep your membership up. If you're buying the $5,495, you're like a new student, then I include the Stockscores tools for 6 months for free, and then it's $300 a year. If you took my course 2 years ago and you want to upgrade, you don't get the Stockscores access. You would have to make sure you keep your membership up as well. If you want to get TradeStation with my discount, you have to go to a specific salesman. So you need to send me an email. Brian, I actually sent you an email today, I think. Yeah, I did. I sent you an email today, Brian, with the contact person at TradeStation that you have to contact. So maybe check your email. If you didn't get it, send me an email and I'll let you know. Gosh, there's a lot of questions coming in. I'm trying not to fall behind here. So the course, the actual mentorship program starts November 22nd. The free bonus, which is the live trading, that starts November 1st. So you don't have to do that, but you may as well. It's free with the course. So you'll get to start that November 1st. But our actual training on the mentorship side is going to, with our first mentorship meeting, will be November 22nd. I'm just reading through questions here. Bear with me for a moment. Am I going to continue the live webinar after November? I won't do it in December, I don't think, but probably in January. It might only be 3 weeks in January. You know, if people want me to do it, I've got my process down efficiently enough that I feel like it's okay. So yeah, I do it for the benefit of my students. It's, you know, I don't make a lot of money doing it, so it's more to help people learn, and it actually helps me too because it makes sure that I'm in front of my screen by the market opens, so it has some benefit in that way. But yeah, it's just a question of whether people want me to. Do we need to worry about too many traders using these strategies? Yeah, I think that's a factor, and that's why I don't charge $500 for this course. I've worked my whole life building these strategies, and I don't want to give them away. That's why the price is what it is. Maybe I should make it more expensive. I don't know. I want to make it accessible enough, but I don't want thousands of students. I don't want to be like some of these guys in the US who literally have thousands of students and they're charging $99, and then they have their chat rooms for $200, $300 a month, and they've got 1,000 people in them. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't all be in and out of these stocks. The liquidity doesn't work. But, you know, I don't know that people get that. So do I recommend the mentorship to students who have already attended a number of active trader courses in the past? You know, I do. I've had people who took my active trader course 2 years ago, have been working at it for a long time, and then decided to do the mentorship, and without fail, they've told me it was worth it. So I didn't put a bunch of testimonials on here. I do have them, but I do think that you will learn the material better doing the mentorship. Did I say the first meeting will be Pacific time, at 1 Pacific time? Yeah, as soon as the market closes. So if you're in Eastern time zone, that's 4 o'clock. Pacific time, 1 o'clock. So as soon as the market closes, we're going to do our first meeting. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over that day and just going to give you a broad overview of what we're going to ultimately do with the mentorship program, and then we'll start to break it down into pieces. Will you be able to do the live trading in November for the usual fee? Yeah, I'm going to send out, for those that are doing the live trading where you watch me trade, that will be available. I'll be sending an email out to all of my active trader students if they want to do that. So I think I've answered all the questions. If I missed one, I apologize. When does the course end if it is in 16 weeks? Well, count 16 weeks from November 22nd, but add 3 more because we're going to take a 3-week break. So, and there may be a week in there where there's a holiday, but you know, you can look at a calendar and sort of figure out roughly when it'll be. I'm not entirely certain. I don't have a calendar in front of me. So will I do another mentorship in April? I don't know. I might, but I don't have any plans to do it. It's possible though. This will be kind of a test to see how well people like it. I think people are going to love it, so I think there's a good chance I'll do it again, but I can't be certain. Okay, so I think I've answered all the questions. There will be a live active trader course in November, yes. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. I did record this, so I will be emailing out a link to the recording once it's compiled. And yeah, watch for that email for those who want to receive the email. Watch for that email, and I will be sending that out Thursday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. The meetings won't necessarily be on Tuesdays. We'll vary it, and I'll ask the group to maybe find some consensus on what days work best. Doesn't matter to me. I don't really want to do it Saturday nights, but Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, whatever works for most of the people. So what I'll probably do is I have a poll where I'll say what days don't work, and we'll see what days are bad for the most number of people, and then we'll avoid that day. Okay, and I will vary it. I won't do it the same night all the time. I may, you know, sometime a Monday night, sometimes a Wednesday after the close, you know, that sort of thing. So some days we'll do it at 10 o'clock in the middle of the trading day because I want to show you some things. So, but again, I'm going to record everything. So if you, for some reason, can't make one of those, you can always watch the recording. Anyway, let's wrap it up. I want to thank you all for joining me, and watch for that email Thursday. Thanks, everyone.